Welcome to the final study in our devotional series, Beneath the Cross of Jesus. It has been a study in which we have looked at those people who were involved in the crucifixion of Jesus. And in this study, we've seen a variety of people, from the loyal, loving disciple to the bitter, hate-filled enemy. We've seen casual observers, those who were highly involved in the crucifixion, and those who seem to be there merely by chance. In this, we've seen a variety of attitudes and a variety of characteristics. And I hope we've been able to learn something about ourselves, for I truly believe that you and I are represented beneath the cross of Jesus. In these attitudes and in these characteristics of those who were present, we are allowed to see ourselves, to see our strengths, to see our weaknesses, and to be given an opportunity to grow spiritually thereby. In this, our final study, we will be looking at a man who was present beneath the cross of Jesus in an official capacity. We might say he officiated over the crucifixion of Jesus. He was the Roman Centurion, a man who made a most remarkable statement when Jesus died. And I want to read from a couple of the gospel records, Matthew and Luke. We'll begin in Matthew 27 and begin reading at verse number 45 as the events of the crucifixion are taking place. Matthew 27, verse 45, "Now from the 6th hour there was darkness over all the land until the 9th hour. And about the 9th hour Jesus cried out with a loud voice, saying, Eli, Eli, lama sabachthani. That is, my God, why have you forsaken me? And some of the bystanders, hearing it, said, This man is calling Elijah. And one of them at once ran and took a sponge, filled it with sour wine, and put it on a reed, and gave it to him to drink. But the others said, Wait, let us see whether Elijah will come to save him. And Jesus cried out again with a loud voice and yielded up his spirit. And behold, the curtain of the temple was torn in two from top to bottom, and the earth shook, and the rocks were split. The tombs also were opened, and many bodies of the saints who had fallen asleep were raised. And coming out of the tombs after his resurrection, they went into the holy city and appeared to many. When the centurion and those who were with him, keeping watch over Jesus, saw the earthquake and what took place, they were filled with awe and said, Truly, this was the Son of God. And then from Luke's account, in Luke chapter 23, beginning at verse 44, It was now about the 6th hour, and there was darkness over the whole land until the 9th hour, while the sun's light failed. And the curtain of the temple was torn in two. Then Jesus, calling out with a loud voice, said, Father, into your hands I commit my spirit. And having said this, he breathed his last. Now, when the centurion saw what had taken place, he praised God, saying, Certainly, this man was innocent. Now, I want you to think about the centurion. A centurion, Roman centurion, was commander of a group of men ranging from 80 to 100 men. They were men who had earned their position. You might call them the backbone of the Roman army. These centurions were chosen for their position because of their deliberation, their constancy, and because of the strength of their mind. We run across them quite often in the New Testament, and always they are mentioned in a positive way. Think, for example, the centurion whose servant was sick, who came to Jesus that he might be healed. Or that centurion who protected Paul on his voyage to Rome. This particular centurion beneath the cross of Jesus, no doubt, was a man familiar with death. And yet, this death was unlike any he had ever seen before. Now, when you think of his confession, when you think of what he said, Surely this man was the Son of God, or certainly this man was innocent. Some question whether those are sincere statements, that that's what he really believed, that perhaps it was ironic or sarcastic. Yeah, sure, this man was the Son of God, something along that line. But I don't believe the Gospels allow that conclusion. For example, in Matthew 27, when they saw these things that took place, the Bible says they were filled with awe. And in Luke's account, in Luke 23, when he said, certainly this man is innocent, he did so praising God. These two accounts do not allow the idea that this is a sarcastic statement. He's filled with awe and he's praising God as he's saying these things. It evidently is coming from a sincerity in which he believed what he was saying. And so let's raise the question then, what caused this confession? And I believe the Gospels answer this as well. It's what he saw and it's what he heard. Because of his responsibilities at the crucifixion, this centurion was in a position to see and to hear everything that went on. And as he did so, he came to see that Jesus is no ordinary person. For the nails that were driven into his hands and feet, Jesus offered forgiveness. As he endured the pain and humiliation of the cross, instead of shouting out curses, he offered prayers to God. When he was assaulted with humiliation and mockery and insults, he responds with a silent dignity. And in his last breaths, he praises God. Think about some of the specific things that the centurion heard from Jesus. Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do. When was the last time this centurion would have heard a criminal say something like that to those who were crucifying him? Or when Jesus said to his mother, "Woman, behold thy son," speaking of John, and to John, "Behold thy mother," as he tenderly commits the care of his mother to this beloved apostle, thinking not of himself, but thinking of her welfare. Or in those words, my God, why hast thou forsaken me?" As Jesus equates the darkness that had enveloped them with the separation that he was feeling from the presence of God. And then those victorious cries, "It is finished," and "Father, into thy hands I commit my spirit." How different is that from the common lot of criminals the centurion would have been familiar with, for which crucifixion was reserved. Truly, he saw in Jesus no ordinary person. But he also saw no ordinary events that day. 3 hours of darkness that could not be accounted for in any natural way. The earthquake and the veil of the temple being torn from top to bottom, occurring as Jesus breathes his last. Couple that with the cries of victory. "It is finished," and "Father, I commit my spirit into your hands." Right as that darkness ends and the earth quakes and Jesus breathes his last. I said in a previous study that the cross makes all the difference. And what the centurion saw that day, while he was beneath the cross of Jesus, it changed him from a soldier who was just doing his job to someone who was willing to acknowledge this man is innocent of the charges against him, and truly, he is the Son of God as he claims to be. Now, I don't know what the centurion did after the events of that day. Tradition tells us that he was converted, that he became a faithful Christian. We don't know whether that happened. I certainly know that's what he should have done. But more importantly, I know what you and I ought to do. I know what we must do. And I encourage you, with an open Bible and with an open heart, spend time beneath the cross of Jesus. Look for yourself in those people who were present that day and allow the transforming power of the cross of Christ to work in your heart and in your life as you spend time beneath the cross of Jesus. It is my prayer that our study is beneficial to you, and until we're able to study together again, may God richly bless you.